Today, we become legends.
Alright boys, Season of Hope has launched. There should be a video out already on my channel covering all the item changes, if you haven't checked that one out already. It should be posted by the time this one goes up, but basically in this video we're going to be covering all the Conquest changes. It shouldn't be too long of a video. There aren't too many changes, but there are some very impactful ones. And yes, I'll basically go over all the changes, give my thoughts on it, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, let's just jump right in. So first up, this applies to all game modes, but probably is most relevant in Conquest, because Conquest is where you can more easily get a lead and actually get these shutdown bounties. We have the changes to shutdown and like general anti-snowballing and stuff like that. So player kill XP reward changes. There's going to be a decreased amount of XP for killing lower level players. The penalty modifier, which I guess is some kind of arbitrary thing they use, that I don't really know how that works, but killing a player more than 4 levels below you will no longer award any XP, so that's going to be pretty interesting. You know, I mean, to be honest, you're not really 4 levels above someone that much, unless it's a support. You know, solo laners, mids, jungles, maybe even ADCs might be 4 levels up on the enemy support if you're snowballing pretty hard, but in terms of on, like, your direct lane opponent, you're rarely going to be 4 levels up, and if you are, you've probably won the game anyway, and I'm not sure this small amount of reduced XP for killing them will matter, but in cases like that, I suppose you just want to be kind of farming up and rotating, killing other people instead of just farming that one person, which I guess is positive for the game. I'm not a huge fan of these anti-snowballing changes in general, but I suppose this one's not too bad. They've increased the amount of XP for killing higher level players, similarly. Bonus modifier increased from 0.25 to 0.4. So killing a player 1 level higher is a 12% increase, 2 levels higher, 20% increase, 7 levels higher is a 40% increase, and I assume it caps out at that point. Again, probably not going to be 7 levels below someone for the most part, but I suppose maybe supports in very extreme cases. And there are also going to be shutdown bonus changes. Receiving the shutdown accolade now gives a bonus similar to the First Blood GP, and grants plus 200 XP and 50 gold, and all 4 teammates receive assist rewards for this, even if they're out of range or dead. So the whole team is going to get a bonus if you land a shutdown. It's not just going to go like mostly or all to the person that gets the shutdown, which is pretty interesting. This is one of the changes I actually do kind of like. I think it's pretty cool that, you know, you're rewarded for kind of, because usually it's a team effort to shut down a fed player. Sometimes you might get lucky and get a solo kill, or maybe they get too aggressive and they dive your tower or whatever. But for the most part, if you're getting a shutdown on someone that's several levels ahead of the team, usually that's going to be a team effort, and so rewarding the whole team for it, I think, makes sense. But in general, I'm not a huge fan of this, like, massively increased bounty for killing a higher level player in general, because I think it's already quite high in the game. You know, it already feels like sometimes, you know, if you're in solo or whatever, you get like 3 or 4 solo kills and you farmed really effectively. You're up like 1500 gold on them, like midway through the laning phase, and they get 1 kill on you because you made a mistake or like the jungler ganked or whatever. And you basically lose your entire lead for that, because not only do you get like, you give like 600-700 gold to them for shutting you down, you also lose like 1 or 2 waves because you got a longer respawn timer for being fed. And it feels like you can lose your entire lead from like 1 death, which, I mean, I guess it feels good if you're behind, but if you're ahead, it feels like kind of bad. But yeah, I do like this change, the shutdown going to the whole team. Obviously, ranked reset as well. That will be basically resetting as normal. Standard soft reset, not going to be a hard reset like it was at the start of the season. And basically, the higher MMR you were, the further you get shoved down. So if you were already around the starting MMR of 1500, you'll only be getting a very slight change. But if you're way up there in Masters, you'll be getting a pretty significant MMR change. So Conquest is receiving a big art update. Basically, they're going to be making it more like glowy and more sort of like themed around the Season of Hope, basically, instead of being themed around the Season of Monsters like it was before. So a big art overhaul there. They're going to be making multiple adjustments to the jungle pass. I'll put up a image of the new Conquest map on the screen for you. In the video, I'll edit that in, hopefully. I'll try and remember. And yeah, the main change here is that the rocks around the back harpy camps in all 4 map quadrants have been changed to allow for better pathing between camps and lanes. So basically, each back harpy camp now has 2 extra entrances that go towards like solo and mid. I basically talked about this in my previous video. That was probably what they were going to do, and it makes sense. It was always weird to path around that area of the map. It always felt like it was, you know, chasing roaming harpies for 7 years, or like to actually get from like, you know, your speed buff to where you need to be. It was all basically a bit weird. The pathing changes look really positive for that. And yeah, it also slightly opens up the space for team fights directly north or south of the Fire Giant and Gold Fury pits, so you're not going to be like boxed in between Fire Giant and the Giant back camp walls. There's going to be more entrances to get into and maneuver around fights that happen around Fire Giant and Gold Fury, which is very important. You know, those 2 objectives, they practically define Conquest, so having more fluidity in the fights around there will be interesting. You're not necessarily going to need like a jump to be able to escape in a lot of situations. And various walls around the jungle have been lowered to help with visibility as well. So there's a major new thing here, the Cyclops thieves. These are going to be replacing the duo side back harpy, so they're no longer going to be a back harpy camp, it's going to be these Cyclops thieves. they give the same reward that back harpies normally would in terms of just like the general reward that they give, but they also spawn extra bonus chests, more for the team that is behind in overall gold. So 1 bonus chest spawns for every 1,000 gold that your team is behind, up to a maximum of 5 chests at 5k down. 5k down is very easy to get to, even in the mid game. If you had a really bad start to the game, you can be 5k down, so these are going to be pretty relevant throughout most of the game. Destroying a chest awards 10 team gold plus 1.6% of your team's gold's deficit, up to a maximum of 500 team gold. Is that, I assume that's 500 across all players, so 100 per player. And yeah, these are going to give 10 team gold plus 1.6% of your team's gold deficit. So 1.6%, if you're down 1,000 gold, that's what, 16? And if you're down like the maximum 5,000 gold for the maximum of 5 chests, that's going to be what, 50, 80? Yeah, so like 90 gold if you're down the 5,000 for the chests, multiply that by 5, that's like 450 gold. That's a pretty significant amount, and obviously the further behind you get, the more gold these are going to give. I mean, you're realistically never going to hit this maximum of 500 team gold, I feel like. You know, to get to this, I mean, 1.6%, like even if you're down 10k, that's only going to be 180, I think, if my math is correct on that. So you'd have to be down an insane amount to really hit this maximum, but let's say you're down 5k and you're getting 90 per chest, or 450 gold total for the chest. And I assume it's going to be every 2 minutes, because these respawn every 2 minutes, which is in line with the change that they're making to the back camps, where they're halving the amount they're worth and making them respawn twice as fast. So they're going to be respawning every 2 minutes now instead of every 4, and this Cyclops camp is going to follow that as well. So presumably these chests spawn every time the camp spawns, every 2 minutes, so this could be potentially a lot of gold, dude. If you're down like 5k, you're getting 450 team gold every 2 minutes. Like, in 10 minutes, that's like over 2,000 gold, which is worth more than the Gold Fury will be at most stages of the game. So potentially major anti-snowballing here. It's going to be distributed across the team, so 40% is going to go to the teammate with the least gold, so almost always going to be the support in that case. 30% to the second least, probably carry with the new solo changes that they're making, which are a bit further down, where solo laners are going to have a bit more farm available. Carry's probably going to be the second least gold on the team. And then 30% is split among the other 3 teammates, so 10% each. But yeah, this seems pretty crazy, man. You know, every 2 minutes, just getting a free, you know, decent amount of gold for the team. Obviously, these can be invaded. It says here, invading and destroying the enemy team's chest awards nothing, but it still does reward you because you're going to be stopping the enemy team getting that gold. And so maybe you want to commit a couple of people or 3 people to trying to invade these on cooldown. It feels like it's going to be... major fights are going to erupt around this, I feel like. If you're ahead, you're going to want to be warding this camp and warding around this camp and probably fighting around it, because if the enemy team's behind, they're going to struggle to contest it, and you do not want to be giving them 450 free gold if they're down 5k. That's going to be not good for your team, we'll say the least. No XP, obviously, so it doesn't help you catch up with the XP thing, but further up, obviously, they've made those changes where there's a bit less XP for, like, farming people. So, yeah, the gold is going to be still pretty huge from these. This camp doesn't spawn roaming harpies as well, but further down we're going to see a change where they're adding roaming harpies to mid camps, so going to be compensated with that farm a little bit, because there's going to be some duo side and solo side mid harpies that roam around as well. But yeah, major anti-snowballing, dude. This is more major than the shutdown bounties, to be honest. 450 gold every 2 minutes if you can get these reliably. Definitely going to be huge. So stay on top of this if you're ahead. Make sure you're invading this camp, forcing fights around it. And if you're behind, make sure you try and secure these. This is going to be really huge for the game. And probably going to encourage passive gameplay, probably. I mean, passive gameplay other than making sure you secure these. But yeah, here we have the back harpy changes. So this change might look simple, but it has a huge impact on the map. The first effect it will have is changing the level 1 stats. Killing this camp in the same way as before will no longer grant both players level 2 before the wave, or grant all players level 2 before the wave. This will also have a big impact on junglers and sometimes mids who will need to show up to clear the camp 2 times as often, yeah, because that's a lower respawn timer, or will risk losing some farm efficiency. We are generally happy that there is more PvP combat on the 10.1 map, maybe not with the anti-snowball changes, dude, everyone's going to sit on the tower, but we wanted to specifically address junglers and challenge them more in terms of ganking timing versus farming timing. So overall, good change in my opinion, the reduced back harpy spawn times. So yeah, going from 4 minutes to 2 minutes, but they're also having the rewards for them, so there's not going to be more farm available. They're half as valuable, but spawn twice as often, so you're just going to have to be there more. It gives junglers a little bit more to do, incentivizes them to farm a bit more instead of ganking so much. I'm all for this change, to be honest. The one thing it's going to do majorly, though, is, as they mentioned up here, it's no longer grant level 2 before the wave if you're doing the solo side start where all 3 players split 3 buffs in the back camps, or the duo side start where you split 2 buffs in the back camps. It's not going to give you level 2 anymore, so definitely starts are going to change up a lot. I might make a video on that if you guys want to see that, because probably the changes, the starts are going to change massively. There's no point in doing that start anymore if it doesn't give you level 2. That's completely pointless, so most likely either there'll be some kind of split where maybe mid and jungle do back camps, red and speed together. Actually, no, that won't give level 2 either, because duo lane doing green, purple, and back camps won't give level 2, so it wouldn't for jungle and mid either. Maybe back camps are out of the rotation entirely, and like jungle and mid do speed and red together and then go do their own thing to hit level 2. Like maybe mid gets the wave, jungler goes to do secondary speed, or maybe if back camps are left up, they go solo back camps, or maybe they do duo side back camps if they want to go for a jungle gank or something. And then probably solo, just solos their own blue, maybe drags it under tower if you want the extra wave pressure, because you can kill it quicker that way. Yeah, it's going to massively change up stats. In terms of duo lane, maybe they just do the 2 buffs and head to lane, or something like that. Back camps are probably just out of that rotation entirely. Maybe even you just do purple, like maybe with a solo laner where you pull into tower, maybe you just pull purple to lane and you kill it and then you just get lane pressure in duo. I'm not entirely sure how these stats are going to emerge. I'll have to play some PTS and probably get a video out for you guys when this patch launches on Tuesday, because stats are definitely going to change, and we don't want people running around like absolute headless chickens not knowing what to do in terms of stats for Conquest, because that can absolutely ruin your game if you don't know the stats. So yeah, be sure to stay tuned, subscribe to the channel for that video when it's going to be coming out. Going to be major changes there. Some slight changes to FG. They've adjusted the Ring of Fire to match its radius more. Decreased the duration of the buff from 4 minutes to 3 minutes. So currently, I believe it lasted as long as Fire Giant's respawn timer, right? Or is Fire Giant respawn timer 5 minutes? I'm not sure. But yeah, it's going to last not quite as long, so you don't have as much that you can do with the Fire Giant buff, and it's not going to be active the entire time or most of the time before Fire Giant respawns. They're also decreasing the power of the buff, so it's going to be healing you less in line with all the other healing changes, but they're going to be giving it more power overall. Decrease the strength of the buff is a better way to say it, because they're increasing the power but decreasing the healing. And the same thing with the enhanced version as well. Gold Fury will now attack and damage enemies that try and body block it to prevent you just like having a hunter or something and then just like a warrior kind of like body blocking the Gold Fury so they can't reach the ranged character, because you could do that and then it would like lower the overall damage output of the Gold Fury, and also increase its movement speed so it can get to you more often, probably a little bit less ping-ponging and stuff like that. For Pyromancer has the same change basically. Bastions increased health, so they're a little bit less susceptible to just being absolutely destroyed, mostly by ADCs. Tier 1 tower has more power, but decreased damage scaling to minions, so it's going to be doing about the same to minions, but a little bit more power in terms of protecting you in the early game. Not a huge fan of this. Already, tower diving is insanely impossible to do in Smite, but yeah, it's going to be even more impossible to do now. So roaming back harpies, disabled hit reactions on these minions. Thank God, that was so annoying when you just hit them and then they stood there like an absolute buffoon for a while. They're going to be probably more reactive now. And 2 roaming harpies spawn halfway through the respawn timer of back harpies, 60 seconds after the camp is cleared. So this is basically how it worked before, but obviously not on the left side, because the left side is the Cyclops camp now. But there's also going to be roaming mid-harpies to kind of replace those Cyclops roaming harpies. So 2 roaming harpies spawn halfway through the respawn timer of mid-harpies, which is 45 seconds after the camp is cleared, because they have a faster respawn timer. And these roaming harpies split off, 1 roaming towards Chaos and 1 roaming towards Duo, and they roam around basically the Gold Fury and Fire Giant pit. So yeah, a little bit of extra farm available probably to mid laners and junglers. Side laners probably not rotating for those. I mean, you could, I guess, but probably a little bit too far out of the way for most side laners. They've also removed 1 mid-harpy from each camp, and it doesn't seem like they've adjusted any of the values. So mid-harpies are going to be worth 2/3 of what they were worth before, but they're going to be easier to clear, because they were really hard to clear. Even junglers sometimes struggle to realistically deal with those, and mid laners basically couldn't take them solo for the early game. So going to be a little bit easier to do in between mid waves and stuff like that, but a little bit less farm from them overall. But of course you have the roaming harpies, which pretty much make up for that farm. Purple buff, decreased base magical attack damage, just a nerf to magical ADCs there, not surprising. The silver buff Scorpion, increased rewards. These are basically part of the solo changes to give them a little bit more farm, because apparently solo laners didn't have enough farm. I didn't really experience that. I thought solos had just about the right amount of farm, but we're getting more, and I'm not going to complain, to be honest, as a solo man. So yeah, increased gold and XP reward on the silver buff Scorpion, and the same thing for the blue buff camp guards and the buff holder as well. Also, Totem now gives its rewards to the team again, thank God. You don't have to run to your tower to get any of those benefits as the team member. You're going to get that 10 seconds base and then go back to your tower if you want more. This is actually pretty huge, because most teammates don't really run back to their tower all that often, so giving them that extra 10 so they don't have to immediately run back to tower to get the value. They can stay out farming minions or getting camps or whatever. Also for the jungler, you know, junglers, they would have to have like rotated through a lane or something like that, so they're going to get that extra. And also the damage aura, an extra 5% damage output buff and a little bit larger area, so you can more reliably, I guess, like hit the wave while still standing in the totem area and stuff like that. And yeah, that's all the Conquest changes. There's a healing update stuff here, which I will have a video out already by the time this one goes live for that. So go check that out if you haven't already. And yeah, that's the Conquest changes. A pretty small list, but I feel like a very impactful list. Like that Cyclops thing with anti-snowballing, like, where have I missed it? Here, like this seems completely ridiculous, especially combined with the shutdown goal. You would have to get your whole ass team there, because if you're going in there as the jungler trying to counter these, they're worth so much that it is worth committing 3 or 4 team members to go defend them. Like ADC rotates from duo lane, and then obviously jungle and support can be there, mid rotates. That would be worth doing considering how much these are worth to prevent an invade and destroying those. So yeah, again, small list, but majorly impactful list. A bunch of these changes are going to massively change the way the game's played from the starts at level 1, which are going to be changing. This stuff going to be completely crazy. So let me know your guys' thoughts on all these changes down below, and I will catch you guys in another one later on. Have a great day, and peace out, you nerds.